As a young boy growing up in Spain, he was subject to anti-Semitic abuse without knowing why. Later, as a young man, he saw the same thing in Vienna. Witnessing the prevalence of these attitudes in the world around him led Pere Bonnin to write the book Jewish Blood, which details the errors, misconceptions and fictions upon which this Christian anti-Semitism was founded. We met with Pere to talk about the success of his book, which is now in its 4th edition.
The first book is called Jewish Blood, which is now in its 4th edition. It tells the story of Christian anti-Semitism, starting with the evangelicals, going practically up to today. So the book was very successful, and I was asked to do a follow-up, which was when I wrote the second book, which details the history of the Spanish Jews who were sent into exile by the Catholic king and queen. So the adventure of these Jews was very important because they influenced a complete change in European and even North American history.
It was Pere's own personal bloodline and the baggage that it brought with it that set him on the journey to write the book.
Even as a child, I was discriminated against along with another group, which are known as the Suetas, who are of Jewish ancestry in Mallorca. But really, we didn't know why. I mean, they told us that we were the ones who nailed Christ to the cross and so on, and they insulted us in that way. When I was in Vienna, I discovered that the tension that exists between the Suetas and non-Suetas of Mallorca was also present with the Jews and non-Jews of Vienna. I mean, you could practically cut the atmosphere with a knife. And it was at that moment when I first thought that our problem wasn't a problem just local to Mallorca, but it was a universal problem. And it was then when I decided to write this book.
In the appendix, he included a list of Spanish surnames which reveal a possible Jewish ancestry, along with the date and town where they were first documented. JN1 used the list as the basis to ask Spaniards with these names if they knew of the Jewish connection, with the majority of those responding admitting to having no idea.
They are surnames taken from the Jewish community, and they are also taken from the names of those condemned by the Inquisition. So there is a list of around 3,500 surnames, but that is definitely not all of them.
The book sparked an interest in this area of genealogy. But how did helping others onto a path of self-discovery affect Pere personally?
Well, in one sense, I feel like I have paid a debt. That is, I have paid a debt to my ancestors. Although I come from a very Catholic family, strictly Catholic, with priests and nuns in the family. But I am paying a debt to the survival of Judaism in my heart. Every day I receive messages, letters, and even phone calls from people asking me the origin of their surnames. And the book had the effect of starting this conversation.
If there ever really was any debt to be paid to his Jewish lineage, Pere is surely now well in the black after 2 successful books that have spread the word of Jewish history in Spain and helped push the issue into the mainstream. This is Paul Walsh reporting for JM1, Spain.